Well, good morning. This is Bob Herzog, and I'm standing across the street from the Hollywood Sunset Free Clinic, which is at 3324 Sunset Boulevard. We're getting ready to interview Tracy Padua, who is the founder and director of the Hollywood Sunset Free Clinic. Pretty soon my cohorts will be here and we will go inside. We are looking east on Sunset Boulevard toward downtown Los Angeles. And now we're looking west. We are, of course, in Silver Lake, a section of Los Angeles.
So today is Tuesday, March 18th, 2008, and I'm Cheryl Revkin doing the interview, Bob Herzog on camera, and we're interviewing Tacy, with real name Tracy Padua, who's the executive director of the clinic, right? Of the Hollywood Sunset Free Clinic. Tacy, why don't you give us the address of the clinic?
It's 3324 West Sunset Boulevard. In the heart of Silver Lake.
In the heart of Silver Lake.
90026.
Great. Okay. So where were you born?
I was born in California.
Oh, really?
Actually, I was born in California, San Diego, and moved here to visit my sister and to go to college.
Oh.
So
you moved to LA.
Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yes.
And how old were you when you moved here?
Must have been about 19.
Oh. And what did you do when you first came to LA?
I went to Cal State Los Angeles. I guess it's called the University of Cal State Los Angeles now. And stayed there a while and got involved with many programs that brought me to this community.
What were those programs?
There were one of them was called the ABC Pride Program, Asian Black Chicano Pride, and it taught children about their backgrounds and history and so on, and gave them self-esteem. And that was at Dayton Heights Elementary School I was teaching there too. And then also there was another program that also had to do with helping students when they were in college.
Helping them in what way?
Helping them, tutoring and so on. So helping them with the ropes of how to survive in college.
I see. So did you actually get your degree at Cal State?
Yes.
In what? Sociology? Or?
In history.
History?
In history.
So after you graduated, then you heard about these programs like at Dayton Heights, which is in Silver Lake.
Dayton Heights, right. And then I also, I taught at this early childhood education, Head Start, for quite some time.
Was that in Silver Lake?
That was actually off of Temple.
Oh, in Echo Park?
In Echo Park, I was there. We started a school, a Head Start school called Maganda Head Start.
Called what?
Maganda Head Start, which means beautiful Head Start. And we were there for a while. So I've been in and out of this community ever since I started living here, actually.
And what was it exactly that motivated you to do, kind of social service work, really?
It was my father, actually. My father is very community oriented and believed in giving back to the community. So he actually is the one that used to bring me around to people's homes that needed food or whatever was needed. He would provide it for them.
What's your ethnic background?
I'm Filipino, and I have parts of Hawaiian in me.
Hawaiian?
As well. Yes.
So your father was born in the Philippines?
Born in the Philippines and lived in Hawaii, and then came to the United States.
To San Diego.
Yes.
And what kind of work did he do?
At first he worked as a migrant worker up and down California, and he was drawn here because his teacher was from the United States, and she said to come to the United States because you can get an education. So he came here and he worked his way up and down the coast. He worked in Alaska in the salmon factories, in Washington, picking apples up and down until he joined the Army.
He joined the Army in World War II.
And became a citizen.
So he fought here. He didn't fight in the Philippines. Right?
He fought in the Philippines.
Oh, he did?
They sent him to the Philippines during World War II.
Oh, was he part of the? He fought under MacArthur and.
Yes, he did.
Part of that terrible death march that they had.
Absolutely. I have an uncle that survived the death march, and they actually patterned a movie after him.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
I see. And then your mother, was she born in the Philippines?
No, she was not. Well, her family was born in the Philippines, and then some of her family was born in the Philippines, and some were in Hawaii.
Oh, in Hawaii. Did they meet in Hawaii or they met here?
Yes.
They met in Hawaii.
Yes.
I see. And how many siblings do you have?
3.
3.
I have an older sister, and then a second older sister and a brother.
I see. Are they all here in Los Angeles? Or?
No, 2 of them
California?
are in San Diego, and myself and my older sister are here.
Do they all do kind of social service work like you do? Or?
They all do some form of it, or some place in the arts. My oldest sister was a teacher, and she retired, and she's very involved in music and sharing culture with the rest of the family. She's the elder, actually, in the clan, so she believes in sharing the information through music and through dance, so she shares that information.
And when you say teaches you the culture, Filipino culture?
She teaches the Filipino culture.
Oh, is that right? So was your family involved in a church? Is that how your father started doing?
Well, he belonged to the
charity
American Legion.
Oh, is that right?
He belonged to the American Legion, and there was a hall built in San Diego, and all of them used to get together from the American Legions, and they used to figure out things that were needed in the community. I remember, and this is where the Santa Claus things came from. We used to get together because nobody had money, but everybody together had some money. So they pulled together a Santa, and all of the families would come together and have food, and they would have, a bag of candy, and that's how we celebrated. And everybody got together with potlucks and so on. So that was the idea of the Santa Claus. That's where that came from.
I see. Well, we're going to definitely get to Santa Claus and the free clinic. So when you came here to LA, did you connect with the Filipino community here at all, or the one in Silver Lake? Or?
Well, I connected with the area in Silver Lake particularly because it was a diverse community. And my father was very much involved in connecting to the community in all the community.
Right, creating community, really.
So that's why I came here, because it was so diverse. It still is diverse.
Yeah, we're hanging on to that, I think. Right?
Yes.
All right. So you came here, you said your sister was here, right?
My sister was here.
Was that in Silver Lake or close
No,
by?
she lived on the west side, and I was accepted at Cal State. I had originally gone to the University of San Diego, and that was during the 68, 69, 70s, and so there was a lot going on during that time, and so I was involved in a lot of different activities at the time as well.
Would those have been related to the anti-war movement? Or?
To the anti-war movement,
anti-Vietnam War, we should say.
Anti-Vietnam movement, to the women's movement at the time as well, and that's how I also got involved in healthcare. Women's health care. I was volunteering at one of the other clinics in the women's health clinic, and
which clinic on campus?
Well, not so much that as THE Clinic for Women.
Oh, yeah.
Want to cut it a minute? Sorry. Let me just let them know. I'm gonna turn this off. I thought I did.
That's what they all say.
I'm like, oh shoot. This happens often, huh? Okay, it's on silent now.
Okay.
Oh, it started
State, and you volunteered at the THE Clinic for Women.
Right.
It's funny, I used to volunteer there too.
Did you really?
Yeah.
It was a wonderful place. I learned how to do blood pressures, weight, height, temperature. I was so impressed with the women's community health worker there that I thought, gee, I'd love to do this.
Really?
Yes.
Because you don't have a medical background or even a public health background.
Not at all. Not at all.
But they taught you to.
Well, I also
kind of
worked for the county as well in public health education. They called me in. They said, you graduated, right? I said, yes. And they said, well, can you do presentations to the community? So they taught me how to do public health communication skills and so on. So I went out into the community and started talking.
The THE clinic taught you?
The county of Los Angeles.
Oh, and how did they know about you? Through the
Well,
clinic?
I had heard that there was a job opening there. So I went there and they told me that there was an opening, and they wanted to know if I would feel comfortable talking to different people, different cultures, and going into the community and talking about different areas like in the environment and healthcare. So I used to go out to senior centers and to any of the recreational centers in the area and talk about healthcare and the environment. And so from that point, I also needed a place to go for women's healthcare. So I heard about THE Clinic and went to THE Clinic and wanted to volunteer there.
And what years?
That was in the 70s.
The 70s. You graduated from college
in the early 70s, 71 I'd say.
71.
Yeah, maybe 72.
And then you worked for the county after that and worked at the THE Clinic.
THE Clinic, and also worked for Head Start
and Head
as a
Start,
teacher in the area.
And what about it would you say you really loved doing? What was it that fed your soul, I guess?
It's a service, because I recall that at the county, I was making a little more money, and then my friend who was working here said, come to the free clinic, you'll really love it. It's a fantastic place. She used to tell me these incredible stories about all the people that came in and how wonderful it was to provide that service, and I thought, I'll come volunteer for a while.
Are you bilingual, or you just mainly speak English?
I speak primarily English. I understand some dialects of the Philippines.
Tagalog.
And actually it's Ilocano, because that's my father's from the northern part. And I also understand quite a bit of Spanish.
Oh, you do?
Thanks to Head Start. The children taught me in Head Start, so I understand quite a bit of Spanish.
And your parents were bilingual then, right?
Yes.
Primarily, right? I see. Did you use your language skills when you did some of that work for the community?
Some of it, yes. And, well, I think what happened was a lot of the students at the time that were bilingual could relate to me very much, and they were happy that I was there, and they were able to talk about certain things like reproductive health care, which was not one of the things that you talked about back then in the family. It's just not, it's behind closed doors, and you just are not supposed to talk about it back then. And that was a time when things were really exploding around health care, about women's health, and
the
about
self-help movement.
Self-help movement, exactly.
And women's health care, right?
I'm so thrilled to know that you work for THE.
Yeah, I'm probably a little older than you. I thought actually you founded the clinic, but apparently the clinic was already going when you came
The clinic
here?
started in 1968.
Oh,
and
who started it?
Students started it. Students, counseling students, and they brought in the licensed people. And so that was back in 68. We became incorporated in 71.
I see.
71.
But you weren't here then?
I wasn't here until the 76 or 77. 77.
Who was your friend who was working here who invited you?
Joanne Morrison. But at that time we were funded through what was called Los Angeles Regional Family Planning Council, Women's Health Care. One of the few places, they funded us early in 71, when they got started. And so that was one of the places that the clinic received funding, along with children's immunizations.
Immunizations, did you say? I see. So there was kind of a focus on counseling, women's health care, and children's immunizations. And is that primarily what they did from 68 to 71? Or
I would say
longer?
so, yes.
Yeah.
The funding really didn't get started until the 70s.
I see.
And volunteerism was primarily the way that the clinic was going
Functioning.
at the time.
And were you in this building then?
We were.
So you were renting the building?
We were renting the building. And the city was kind enough in 77, Councilwoman Peggy Stevenson. She helped us purchase the building. She found the money and then helped us remodel it.
I see.
In the 80s.
Do you know how much rent they were paying? Do you have any idea when they first started?
I don't know, but whatever it was at the time, we could barely afford it. We could barely afford it at the time.
So basically, you got funding to do the services, but all of the practitioners were volunteering.
Right.
And were there a lot of people who patronized the clinic, would you say?
I would say during that time there were students, college students, high school students that came, very much interested in healthcare, communicable infections. That's our great Sunset Strip background here.
Yeah, right. And were you mainly open at night then, or
We were open when the doctors were coming. Coming
whenever
by.
they could come?
Whenever they could come, and people would just wait. Okay.
Okay. And
All
you're
right.
on.
So the clinic was open pretty much when the doctors could be here.
Right.
Now, I seem to remember there is a pediatrician
Right,
who still
right.
works here, who started back at the beginning, or
He
did
was the first doctor,
What was his name?
Dr. Paul Fleiss. He was
Oh, I wasn't thinking of him. I was thinking of who was
Dr.
it?
Vickery.
No, well, him too. But there, I think he was from Eastern Europe, and he was a pediatrician.
Oh yes, Dr. Tabeklian.
Yeah.
Tabeklian. Well, these are the three doctors that came in during that time. And Dr. Tabeklian came in the early 70s, and he started here in the CETA 2D program.
In the what?
CETA program.
Which is what?
Which is at the time the city was funding people to get trained, and since he was just coming into the community, they wanted to show him like the ropes of the system and so on. And then he was able to get his licensing here in the United States, and he was able to provide services.
He came from like Romania or Bulgaria or something.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
yes.
And he needed to get licensed here. Right?
Yes, yes.
And was he a pediatrician?
He's a general practitioner,
General
and
practitioner.
then he specialized in pediatrics when he got
Right,
here.
right. That's what I remember. So Dr. Fleiss volunteered here.
Dr. Fleiss volunteered.
He was one of the first volunteers, and
He
then he
was.
also had This is Paul Fleiss, by the way, and
Yes.
he had a private practice as well in Los Feliz.
Yes, I don't know where it was at the time, but yes.
Right. So how many hours a week would these doctors donate? Like,
Whatever they could give.
10 hours or
Usually it would be whatever they could give in between their work, and sometimes it was 4 hours, sometimes it was 6 hours.
and how did you make appointments for them? People would just get the free clinic phone number and call,
They'd
and then you
line
would
up.
arrange appointments.
Actually, back then they would line up.
Line up?
Line up.
Oh, I
Yes.
see.
When I
I
first
see.
started here, there were people lined up down the sidewalk. I heard, and that didn't end up working so well because
Yeah.
it got a little pushy at
Yeah.
the time.
Well, and people were sick probably too.
Very
and it
much
was
so,
hard
and
for them.
sometimes the doctor wasn't able to come. So, yeah.
And what was your role then?
When I came in, I was a health educator.
I see.
I was a health educator with family planning.
Oh, I see. And you got
And
funded for that.
got funded.
Right. So you were distributing birth control?
Birth control, talking to women about birth control methods, and it was primarily women at the time, and they were in college or in high school
I see.
at the time.
Since needed an x-ray or a referral of some kind, what would you do then?
We would refer them out. We would make the connection to either a county facility or to a place that had x-rays at
Yeah.
the time, usually a local place.
So, how, maybe I'm jumping ahead kind of a lot, but can you tell me how things evolved at the clinic here in terms of the healthcare system and people getting private insurance and then maybe losing private insurance and that kind of issue?
Yeah, the free clinic movement has really evolved quite a bit. And I think when it first started back then, it was really the flower power sort of energy that was really motivating it, and youth and their ideals. And then in the 70s, there was a whole nother need. There were people that were moving into Los Angeles that absolutely needed services that had no other place to go, were frightened of a system that said to follow a yellow or red or a green line and get lost in that whole bit. So they ended up coming here, and we ended up becoming a family medicine clinic, starting at the turn of, I guess, 70, more like 80. We became a family clinic.
Did you get more funding to allow it to be a family
Various
practice?
funding. The county, I think, recognized that people were coming to us because they felt comfortable, and sort of reached out to us and said, hey, can you do a communicable infection screening program? Can you do a TB screening program and continue with the CHDP part? And they saw us as a vital part of providing services. And
Right.
then we started in the 90s getting more people into the clinic that needed general medical care.
Like diabetes screening? or
Yes,
blood
that's when
pressure?
diabetes and high blood pressure really started hitting. HIV came in like in the late 80s, 85, 86, 87, 89, and we began providing services as well.
Yeah,
health
I wanted to
education.
ask you about that specifically.
Yes.
So you started doing HIV screening here?
We started doing HIV screening, and we became an important part of providing education to the community. It was an incredible time.
And how do you mean that?
It was just innovation and the need. It just brings tears to my eyes, you know, but it was incredible.
I know you recognize World AIDS Day here. I've been
Yes.
here for kind of a ceremony that you do on World AIDS Day. I think I invited you to come, Bob.
Yes,
and, And doesn't the clinic house the Minority AIDS Project, or did it?
Actually, it's the Cara Cara Latino AIDS Project.
Can you say that again?
It's called the Cara Cara Latino
Cara Cara.
AIDS Project.
Face to face.
Face to face, you got it. Back in 1987, we were the first nonprofit agency to provide education to the Latino community. We were funded through the state, and we developed an incredible program to do this outreach bilingually. And then the federal government saw the model and asked us to provide services through them. We did that for 5-6 years. So we were funded through the state and the federal government to provide this education. And
why did it come to an end?
well, the federal government used our model, took our model, and then distributed it to others, and then we maintained. The funding always eventually comes to an end.
Yeah.
They wanted us to develop the model.
Right.
They wanted us to develop the model and to share it with the rest of the United States or wherever it was that they were using it.
What do you think was so effective about the model that you created?
We do a theater outreach program, and we invited the youth to come in to tell their stories, and then they reenacted it on stage, told their stories on stage.
At schools? On
At
stage?
schools, at
Churches?
the churches, at some of the local theaters in the area, and they were performing to audiences that came from not just Los Angeles. They took busloads from Long Beach and from the northern part of it just to come. It's true stories.
Yeah. And you were very kind of nurturing and supportive of those
Absolutely,
stories.
it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
really worked. Well, I know
Yes.
at one point you had a group of singers who were doing HIV education in Spanish. I believe that
Yes, that was
were
part of the
part of the
Cara
Queen of
Cara
Silver
program.
Lake pageant.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Can you just tell us a little bit about
Well,
that? That was part of the program.
That was part of the program, and they dressed in drag, and they talked about. They sang a song. I'm gonna sort of find some. Not your jacket. I'm gonna blow my nose with something else. Okay.
You on? So what was the name of the group?
Well, they were from the Cara Cara Latino AIDS Project, and it was a group put together, dressed in drag, and they used to sing. They were called the Los Condoneros.
Meaning condoms, right?
The condom singers, you know, the condom, you know. And so they would make these songs about why you're supposed to wear a condom, and then they would perform wear a condom safely and how to practice safe sex. And they had the audience so entertained and happy. And then at the finale was they had condoms, you know, right here in their cleavage, and they would pull out the condoms and throw them out to everybody and tell everybody, don't forget to wear them. And everyone absolutely loved them.
Yeah.
They were such a success.
So your program obviously was very effective.
It was extremely
Yeah.
effective, and we may have a little bit of that coming back this year. We're not sure. We're going to work on that because I think theater education absolutely works, especially in our community where it's low income, poverty level, and it's entertaining. You're inviting them to something that is entertaining, it's social, and it is free to them.
So you still do HIV screening?
We
then?
do HIV screening. We
and
do.
you see a gay population here? And,
Yes, absolutely. We see a gay population here.
A
We see
pediatric population?
pediatric, women, men, some teens as well.
Uh-huh. What do you do with teens specifically?
Well, a lot of the teens are interested in our tattoo removal program.
Oh, why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, our tattoo removal program, a lot of parents that have just found out that their child got a tattoo that they didn't agree on are really interested in our tattoo program. So our tattoo program came along in the 90s, I guess the mid-90s. And it was geared towards high-risk youth that are trying to change their lifestyle.
To get out of a gang.
Get out of a gang, and some of them maybe were young, 14, 15, 16, and didn't know any better, and they wanted to survive, and they, the gang said, well, if you want to survive, you got to come in, and in order to jump in here, you're going to get a tattoo. So some of them had tattoos. But then by the age of 17 and 18 and 19, they're trying to get a job. They're trying to change their lifestyle. They're trying to be a success. And they've got a tattoo on them that's stopping them from doing it.
What about drug screening and drug programs?
We don't have drug screening here. We have thought about it because there have been people that have come through that are interested in drug screening, but we do refer them out. We do refer them
to the county, maybe?
To the county and to some of the other agencies in the area.
And you do some, this is probably related to all of the work that you do, but homeless health care?
We do homeless health care. We had a mobile unit, a huge 40-foot mobile unit that was just not feasible to use. I mean, it's quite old now. We got it in the 90s. But we still do outreach to the homeless. We provide blankets and food and clothing for them. And if they need health care, we'll bring them here.
So, in other words, the word is out that you have blankets and food for people here, or do you actually go out on the street if you see a homeless person and invite them to come to the clinic, or how does that work?
Well, if we're out in the streets doing the outreach, we'll bring a few blankets with us, we'll bring some food, we'll bring some clothing. And also we have homeless that walk up and down Sunset that know us pretty well now, and we will provide them with whatever it is that we can provide them with. We do have a thrift store that provides them with clothing as well.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little about the thrift store?
Sure. It was started in the late 90s, or maybe mid 90s, by Berta Morley, who originally started the Uncle Jer's boutique. And so
she knew there was a need to raise money.
Well, our homeless people, we used to go up there all the time. She knew about us, and she started doing some fundraising for us. And so she said, you guys need a thrift store. And I thought, that's a great idea.
Right. And there's another, aren't there some groups that actually raise money for you, like Vaughn,
Lintalk from the Grow With Us organization. Grow With Us organization, a group of ladies that have been around providing these services to us for, God, it's got to be 20 years now. 20 years, and every year they raise money to help us with our children's programs and our children's Christmas parties, and the furniture that you see in there is from them as well.
And also, didn't they help to fund the mobile clinic, the mobile health clinic?
Yes, they actually paid for the gas.
Yeah, right.
And that's got to be pretty outrageous now, the gas.
Yeah. So over the years, probably through your leadership, I would say, you've had many, many different kind of programs established, and gained a reputation in this whole community, I think, so that obviously a diverse group of people come here and take advantage of the services. How did you actually move from health educator to director?
I often ask that question myself. Well, health educator position was like one of the ones that I loved dearest. And so my friend moved out of her administrative position in the medical department and said, why did you do that? So I said I'd try it, and I ended up doing medical administering. I administered the medical department, which means, handling all of the contracts, writing the proposals, and making sure that things were handled. And ended up, of course, still doing health education. That's the reason why I wanted to stay in medical as well. And
when was that you actually changed positions?
I changed positions about a year after I became health educator.
Oh, so it's way back then. Right.
And I loved running the medical department. All the people that came in, it's like so different when you have volunteers coming in. You've got volunteer doctors, you've got all of these volunteer nurses coming in that aren't so concerned about, the prettiness of it, but actually providing direct services to the people. And it was a great experience. I love that part of it.
Can you tell us about this garden a little bit? Because that's another innovative kind of resource that you found for the clinic that I think ties into the healthcare philosophy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just, I I think it was just an incredible act that the ground forest, you'll probably see it later on, ground forest garden was created here. Before it was created, we had a small little garden. I think there were 8 plots here for people to grow vegetables. And then we left because we had a fire at the clinic and a little bit of a problem with the water after that. So the whole clinic had to be redone back in 2000. And when we came, I guess 2001, when we came back, this whole area was just completely gutted. It just looked horrible and everybody was pretty depressed. And Ground Forest called us up on Thanksgiving Day, actually. Got my cell phone and said, we drove by there, we heard you needed some help.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And came in and built you call a meditation garden?
Meditation garden, a place where the patients can come in, and they could bring their children in here as well. And way in the back, there's a little area with a little table where the staff can go in and have lunch and relax a little bit too.
Yeah, so you really do more than just traditional Western healthcare here.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about alternative healthcare that you give to a population that usually doesn't have access to it, and includes the meditation garden, I think, too?
Well, the meditation garden actually also works with our counseling patients too. Works with me, definitely. I love it here, but many of the counselors use it, and they bring their patients in here, and they actually get counseling here, and it's fairly quiet and private enough to be able to do that. We also have chiropractic services that are been provided for how long now?
20 years.
Over 20 years,
Yeah.
yes. And we refer patients to you as well. And we have acupuncture here on Thursdays, thanks to Dr. McGill as well.
And, well, let me just finish this. I think the aspect to healthcare that I know you and I both believe in is a certain amount of nurturing. And out of that has come like holiday dinners and toy giveaways. So there are a few other programs here that you haven't talked about.
Well, the first one was the Christmas party in 1979. I remember this. I used to see all these children coming in from Mitchell Terrain, and the feature was the water fountain. They loved the water fountain. So they'd come in after school, they'd line up, and everybody would have a drink of water, and I thought,
They need a present. Right?
They need a present. So and I thought, well, and the only other way that they would come in is because they had to get their shots. So I thought maybe there would be another way for them to come into the clinic, and I recalled that wonderful Christmas parties that we used to have when I was young. And so in 1979, one of the board members said that he had a Santa Claus suit, and he was thin as a rail. He brought his pillow, stuck it in, and we got some candy canes donated to us. So 1979 was our first 100 students to Mitchell Elementary School coming in.
You had 100 students from Mitchell Terrain come in.
Right. Well, maybe St. Francis.
For a Christmas party, right? So you had food and gifts
Actually,
for them.
the first time all we had was popcorn and candy. And then after that...
Santa.
And Santa. And that's all they really wanted to see was Santa. And then after that, things started happening with the World With Us. The community came together and started pulling together all of our toys. You know, Silver Lake Chamber of Commerce has been wonderful in helping us with that.
And
now
then on Christmas Day?
On Christmas Day, we have our homeless luncheon. And that's been going on since 1990s. Christmas Day, we have about 100 families coming in.
It's out on the sidewalk, right?
Out on the sidewalk, and if it rains, it's in the clinic. And so we have the community coming in with turkeys and cooked turkeys and vegetables and pies and cookies and whatever. They come in for a couple of hours and they provide a wonderful luncheon for...
Who is the community who brings that food? And is it churches like the Silver Lake Community Church?
It's actually individuals. So we got an awful lot this Christmas, and we don't need all of this. And I'd like my child to come in here and do this for Christmas. So we have actual families coming in that spend a couple of hours with us and whatever, and their children are here giving out toys.
Yeah, you have toys again on Christmas Day. Well,
we have a school.
Yeah, go ahead.
one of the schools one year had us as a project, and they had fifth graders that collected about 300 toys. They came in and gave us the toys, and Santa offered them toys, and they said, well, Santa, that's really great, but I really want to be here and help. Can I help? So they came in and they started singing Christmas songs to everyone.
Great.
It was great. What else?
So I've
Jeez.
seen you do some healing ceremonies. I know once at a Chamber of Commerce mixer over at the Crystal Matrix. Do you practice a kind of alternative medicine or spiritual medicine yourself?
Just something that my
Spiritual
family
practice.
passed on to me, and that and song. So I wasn't expecting you to ask, but yes, I use the flute and I use vibrational music in that way. And so the intention is basically set in the heart and travels throughout the body and then goes out to the rest of the people. And so the vibration is held in the music or in the tone.
And that's a Filipino practice?
Well, it's a combination of Filipino and Hawaiian because my mother was both.
Both, I see.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know at a certain point you called me because the funding for the clinic had been severely cut back. And I don't remember the year that all kind of started to happen. And then how did you all come out of that and survive that?
2002, I recall. It was a big one. It was a huge one.
A third of your budget?
At least a third of our budget was cut. And what happened was we hustled. We talked to community leaders. We talked to everyone. We did letters, and thank you for your letter, by the way, to the county, telling them how important our services were. And it was over, we got hundreds and hundreds of letters that were sent.
So the funding was restored to some extent?
It was not restored from them, but other organizations came together, foundations and corporations came together and said, your services are really important. We know how important they are. We are going to help fund you. So we did get monies other ways. The state actually stepped in a little bit too.
Good.
So.
And now you're expanding a little bit, right? So what's in the future for the clinic here?
Our 40th anniversary. We are in our 40th year providing services. 2008, 1968. We're changing our logo. It actually is going to be Hollywood Sunset Free Clinic, and I wish I had it with me at this point to show you, but it's gorgeous, and it's a hand with a family in it. And then it says Hollywood Sunset Free Clinic on the side, and that's just so nurturing, and the colors are beautiful. That will be coming up in April. We are going to have a health fair, our 40th anniversary health fair here, and it's going to be April the 24th.
But also, there's a possibility of a food pantry here? Right?
Well, next door, we have acquired the property next door, and administration is going to be moving next door along with the HIV counselors and some of the other counselors as well. And in the back room is going to be a major conference room, and behind there was a huge storage space where we were planning on making it into a pantry. Half of it will be a pantry, and we'll be able to have food, a space for the food, and a place to give out food.
To distribute it.
Yes,
dispense
and we
it.
have noticed that there has been an increase in that need.
Right. And I guess you'll be working together with HopeNet maybe on that?
Yes, HopeNet.
Right.
Douglas.
Yeah, right. They're very anxious to work with you.
I'm anxious to work with them too.
Yeah, I know. And what do you do in the pediatric clinic now? And
we do CHDP, which is Child Health Development Program, Disability Program actually, and we do immunizations, vision and hearing, and the doctors are from Kaiser.
Oh.
We have fantastic doctors that come in every other Tuesday, and they provide this incredible service. The pediatricians are fantastic. You hear about some doctors just not spending a lot of time. Well, we've got 3 doctors for each child coming in.
3 doctors for each child?
Yes.
Oh my God.
They spend time in each of the categories doing
that right?
services with them.
Oh, that's wonderful. And they volunteer,
They
or Kaiser
volunteer.
pays? Kaiser pays?
It's part of the rotation program.
Oh, I see.
And so they are supervised by pediatricians, and they come in, and the pediatrician is supervising the residents.
So if you could maybe be an inspiration, which you already are, to a group that might want to start a free clinic in another community, do you have any advice you
just enjoy being of service
Of service.
to the
right?
community,
Uh-huh.
because that's what it's about.
And after that, everything comes together. Right.
You'll have all the right people coming for that reason.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I think maybe you could give a tour.
Oh, I'd love to give a tour.
Thank you so much for everything you
Oh.
do. Really.
I'm
The details
Are you going to
on
be
the-
here 12 to 2 o'clock on that day? Can I schedule you
Yeah.
on that day?
Yeah, it's the 20.
Sun?
Okay, we're just outside the door of the conference room, and this is the meditation garden. And I'm going to try and not fall on my face coming up here. And Tacy's going to give us a tour.
Hello.
Okay, we're ready
This
to
is
go.
the meditation garden. Oh, don't hurt yourself here. This was in 2003 when Ground Force came from England and decided to help us out here in our beautiful garden. So they're the ones that helped set this up with all of our volunteers.
Oh, we can walk in here,
can
then
walk-
we'll walk out and we'll see it from the
Yeah.
other angle.
Yes. This spring, this is going to be a fountain. We don't usually set it up until the springtime, so spring is just this week. And this is our little relaxation area for a lot of our patients, volunteers, and our staff. You can see up here the sun comes shining through birds.
I like the fence.
This is a gorgeous fence. When these came off, everybody just they were in awe. They're from a place they told me in Santa Barbara. They actually shipped them here from Santa Barbara. But all the plants also, there were a few that we had. We had the avocado, I think, and the lemon tree. And this is a little area where we're able to sit back here and relax a bit.
It's very pleasant.
It's lovely back here.
Quieter than where we were, too.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe we could back here, but there's not enough sunlight, is there? You know, the sunlight.
Well,
kinda-
this is doing pretty good. Well, anyway, we did what we did.
and the pepper trees.
I think perhaps we can take some of that sound out, edit some of the
Oh, really?
truck noise out. But
Yeah,
it is where you are. You know, a very busy street.
That's where we are. Very busy, but easily accessible to our patients because we have the bus.
And that's where we were earlier.
Yes.
We're interviewing Tacy.
And there is the sign that we have. Aren't those gorgeous?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a California native plant.
I'm sure of it too because they really try to. I encourage them to use native plants. So many beautiful.
Try not to trip over the tripod, and we'll get this. Of course, I'm in it. The sign. If we can read it or not.
Can you get it?
It says Ground Force Garden in sincere gratitude to Charlie Dimmock and
Yes.
Tommy Walsh and
The entire
the
crew.
entire crew of
Endemol UK Productions.
for BBC One for your incredible work. January 22nd through 24th, 2004.
That's right.
I need you to sign a model release form.
Sure.
So
And I
we
wanted
can-
to give you one of these as well because it gives you all the services that we
great.
provide.
Thanks. Okay, where's the blank one? We're trying to get funded to our little collective, which is part of the neighborhood council. That's my funding proposal for next year. It
Well,
doesn't
good luck to you.
probably look anything like your budget. This is our usual.
If you could do it with that amount of money, that is incredible.
This is what we usually have to work with, and that's
Wow.
just for getting tapes and
supplies.
getting supplies and DVDs made. But we're going to do 2 mini documentaries
Yes.
each year for the next 3 years, using all the interviews,
Yes.
including yours, with little snippets. They'll run about 10 minutes each, and there'll be snippets to show the historical reference and the diversity and the cultural and social diversity of our community. One of the reasons we were very pleased to talk with you is because you represent not only the Filipino community, but you represent this wonderful
This is a great
institution
place.
as part of our
Yes.
part of our.
Well, the other thing I wanted to tell you is, did you know that the doctor here that originally owned this place was an Olympic gold medalist
That owned this building?
that built it.
Well, hang on for just a second.
I gotta remember his name.
Just sign this here and I'll fill in the rest. We have to do this to protect ourselves legally.
Oh, I understand. You want me to do the print part?
Yeah, why not?
Of course.
I had one interview, very lovely lady that I belong to a seniors writing class, which is part of the seniors club, and she said, my daughter told me not to sign this. And I said, why? She said, because we don't know what it's about. And I explained
Why
it
don't
to
you
her.
read it?
Yeah. And then I said, well, I just interviewed Tom Lavange and he didn't even look at it and signed it. And she said, okay, I'll
She's so
sign it.
used to. You want the address, so you have it, right?
No, I keep it all.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let me get that on tape.
Well, I've got to remember what his name is, though. He was a gold medalist back in the 40s.
By the way, before we came in, we were waiting for you. I went across the street, parked across the street, and I shot the front of the building. And then I shot up the street and down the street to establish where you are.
Thank
So
you.
that'll
That
be
really
fine.
makes a difference. I mean, you've been doing this a while, I can tell. If you know how to do that stuff. Because a lot of people just go into the place, they don't take the front, and they don't take the area. And no one knows exactly where you are.
Well, that's our job as part of the history collective. We're tying everything together.
Right.
We've been interviewing businessmen, older residents. We're anxious to get older residents because time is running out. We've interviewed a couple of 95-year-olds in the past few months. Wonderfully
5-year-olds.
amazing people.
I'd love to hear about that. Where can we find out more about Silver Lake?
Well,
Do you have a time when you present about Silver Lake, or?
well, what we have are about 20. I'm recording. Now it's recording. Say that again.
This is a picture of what the garden looked like when it first was planted. And you know, we have people from around the world, people from Australia and England that come in to look at the garden because they saw it on television. And it's great pictures. That's the crew that worked on it. Some of the crew, I should say.
What a nice thing to do. And that's where we just were.
And this is our room that houses everything.
Hi. I'm going to turn this off.
Okay. That I have had for 25 years.
You're eight.
Yeah. I ate health care for people now. And,
Wonderful.
And that was just taken last 2007 at the AIDS Posada. But here, I'll show you. This is the accounting office. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
This is Nancy.
I'm counting paper clips.
Where are the beans? Where are the beans?
And here are just a few of the awards that we have, certificates of appreciation. And we haven't finished putting them all up, but we have a few of them. Yeah. We put them all up, they would cover all of the walls
I'm sure.
in the area. I know what I want to show you. I want to show you our file room with all the patient certificates.
Okay, I'm going to give a quick pan here. These are all wonderful awards.
You remember Assemblyman Mike Cruz?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. He's going to come in and do the. Okay. He's going to come in.
These are
They're
patient
taking care of
files.
Patient files. These are all active patient files.
wow.
And Senor Carlos is the one that handles making sure that all of them are together because we recycle. We recycle.
Boy, there are a lot of them.
A lot of paper. A lot of active.
I'm sorry, but we seem to have lost your file.
Oh, that's not a joke.
I'm sure it's not.
We'd love to, figure out another system, but this one works for now.
Porque García además es hombre, yo pensé que era mujer.
And I'll show you. Maybe you should put it down.
Okay, this is one of the examination rooms. Very nice. Are the bars on the window to keep the patients in?
No.
No.
It's the other way around.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. But they're about this size.
Yeah, it's
We've done
nice.
some renovating, and they're basically this kind of examination room.
Pleasant. Is there anyone in the reception?
Let me see.
Because I could shoot that if there's no patients waiting.
Yes.
Oh,
And she's in
cool.
the reception area.
Yeah,
Say
this is
hi.
the reception area.
She's like, uh-oh.
Yes. This is very nice.
And that painting there was done by a homeless man that was, well, his story is he was walking in the streets so I could paint. And he had like paint all on his hands. I figured he'd just finished painting. He said, I used to paint for Disney.
No kidding.
Yeah,
What a
he
nice
said-
story.
He said, can I paint for you? And I said, sure. Can you paint something lively outdoors and children play?
Oops. Excuse me. Sure.
So we did for that. And this one was given to us too by a man named Thomas who was moving out of California and wanted to know if we wanted one on children. And I said, sure, but I don't know how to put that up. He said, no problem, I'll put it up. So he put it up for us.
Well, this is the front door. At the beginning of this tape, we saw this from across the street. Okay, I think we're finished.
Yes.
Tacy, thank you for your wonderful tour and for your cooperation in taping this.
Thank you for coming.
And it's a wonderful story, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you
You
so
get
much.
lots of support.
Thank you.